Well, good Monday morning and welcome into the show to each and every one of you. And I'm hoping for some brand new viewers today that I met over the last week in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, as well as on the planes, heading there and coming back. I'm so glad I had all my cards with me. We were passing them out like crazy on the flight last night. I am going on adrenaline and an incredible week with friends. I had 3 hours of sleep, so this will be an interesting show this morning. A little slap happy. How about you? Did you have a great one? We're going to find out about the forecast here in our area. I'm coming off of upper 80-degree weather and just absolutely stunning. It was a wonderful week by the beach, and I will be flooding all of your pages with the incredible activities and just relaxation that we had in Mexico in the coming days. So be sure to be looking for that. Today, we're going to have all over my social media pages this really cool vintage market that's going to take place in Lake St. Louis this coming weekend. So be looking for that in my stories and reels, and I'll talk a little bit about that coming up in just a second. We're going to have news you can use, and then today, reversing the damage done to your skin after summer, because we are now officially in fall. So we're going to have Dr. Sarah Jensen from Regional Dermatology joining us in about 10 minutes. Let's go right now, though, and check in with our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore. It's a segment we call What the Weather?
Alrighty, welcome back into this new more weather forecast video. This one has been looking significant for a couple of days. So
good morning to you.
Good morning, Monica.
Finally.
Nice to be here.
All right, let's check in with him. Beckett, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Again, thank you so much for joining us last week while I was in Cabo. I had incredible weather. It was a really nice time to be able to get away. But the whole world, while we were by the beach enjoying our time, nothing, of course, happening in the Pacific Ocean by where we were, but a lot of people talking about Hurricane Helene. And then I'm hearing, Beckett, before we talk about that after your forecast, there's also, is there a new tropical depression that's in the Atlantic that could become a hurricane later this week?
Yes, there are actually two tropical depressions in the Atlantic right now, and they could become a hurricane, but that's unlikely to hit the United States at this point.
Okay, so what about the remnants of what happened with Helene? How would that be affecting our area?
Yeah, so the worst impacts from Helene were actually inland in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And we did get some of that rain on Friday, but that did move out as we headed into Saturday.
Well, we're going to run down, obviously, what happened with Helene coming up for you here shortly. But for us, we're expecting pretty beautiful day today, and then we'll look at the rest of the week as well. So, Becca, go ahead and let us know what we have on tap for today.
Yeah, we have a great day on tap and overall a great week on tap weather-wise. This morning, 66 degrees with 3-mile-per-hour winds from the northwest and a low dew point around 62, looking out at Lambert with those sunny skies. Now, looking at that bus stop forecast, again, 66 and sunny this morning. This afternoon, warming up to around 80 degrees, around 4 degrees above average for this time of the year, and mostly sunny skies. Now, our 7-day outlook, again, 80 is our high today and those mostly sunny skies. Low tonight of 65. Tomorrow really dropping down as that cold front comes through, only getting to around 74 with mostly sunny skies. But look at all that sun. No rain or much clouds in the forecast as we head throughout the rest of this week. 73 on Wednesday, then we warm back up into the 80s as we head towards late this week and into the weekend.
Beckett, I'm just going to say I brought all that to you from Cabo.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Beckett, well, thank you again so much, and I hope you have a great day at school. We'll check in with you again on Friday.
You're welcome. Sounds good.
All right, everyone, that's aspiring meteorologist Beckett Moore. But before you get a chance to wrap things up and he goes off to school, I want to make sure you follow him on YouTube and X. Those are his biggest platforms. So check out his More Weather pages. And if you want to meet him in person, he is coming to our 400th show celebration on Friday. You'll get a chance to meet his entire family. They'll all be there. So Jill and Marty, thank you so much for everything that you've done to have him as a part of our show. So yeah, our big celebration coming up on Friday. We cannot wait for this. I think we're close to 50 tickets that have been sold for this already. So steak dinner that you'll get an opportunity to hear some great music, a couple of drink tickets. We'll do some fun giveaways. Michelle's come up with some really creative things, one of which is called Last Meat Standing. And I think I'm going to have to play that game with you. So we'll have that for you coming up. We'll be talking about that all week long. First of all, let's get into news you can use. We just mentioned the weather, and that's actually going to top our news today. The aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Everywhere this past week, everyone's been talking about the death toll, and it continues to rise. And unfortunately, authorities are expecting it to go even higher as they look at the aftermath in some of the rural counties. Right now, depending on what news source you listen to, I've heard under 100, and then on CBS radio coming in this morning, I heard of about 116. So death toll definitely near 100. Authorities struggling to get water and other supplies to the isolated flood-stricken areas across the U.S. Southeast in the wake of Hurricane Helene. The North Carolina county that includes the mountain city of Asheville reported 45 people killed due to the storm. Several other fatalities reported in North Carolina yesterday, pushing that overall death toll again to about 100. Officials warned that rebuilding from the widespread loss of homes and property would be lengthy and difficult. The storm upended life throughout the Southeast. Deaths also reported in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Virginia. North Carolina's governor predicts that death toll again rising as rescuers reach the isolated areas. And Hurricane Helene rose ashore late Thursday in Florida's Big Bend region as a Category 4 hurricane with 140-mile-per-hour winds. A weakened Helene quickly moved through Georgia, then soaked the Carolinas and Tennessee with torrential rains that flooded creeks and rivers and strained the dams. Now, some authorities are expecting $15 billion to $26 billion in property damage. These pictures that you're looking at are just horrific. Again, we'll continue to talk about Helene, I'm sure, throughout this week as they are expecting, unfortunately, that death toll to rise. Well, today we'll find out about something that could affect all of us right here, but also all across the United States. A possible strike by port workers. This is something that we haven't seen to this likes in 4 decades. If union members do walk off the job, it would be the first coast-wide ILA strike since 1977, affecting ports that handle about half of the nation's ocean shipping. U.S. East and Gulf Coast port workers set to go on strike at midnight today, with no talks currently scheduled to head off a stoppage threatening to halt container traffic from Maine to Texas and cost the economy as much as $5 billion a day. The labor contract between the International Longshoremen's Association, or ILA union, representing 45,000 port workers, and the U.S. Maritime Alliance. The employer group expires late today, negotiations at an impasse over pay. So how would it affect us? At the grocery store, at stores, a strike could stop the flow of everything from food to automobiles at major ports, potentially jeopardizing jobs and really creating a problem with inflation weeks ahead of the U.S. presidential election. So again, we'll be following this story as of midnight with no talk scheduled. This isn't looking good. We'll have more on that, though, coming up for you tomorrow. In entertainment news, I got a breaking news alert about this as I was heading onto the plane last night. Chris Christopherson, longtime actor as well as country singer and songwriter, he died at the age of 88. You know, a lot of songwriting credits. Me and Bobby McGee, For the Good Times, Sunday Morning Coming Down, Help Me Make It Through the Night, all of which were hits for other artists. But I know you know that man, seen him in a lot of movies. Just an incredible actor, again, dying at the age of 88. And you know, when you hear a death of one person in a celebrity status, it's always, they say, it comes in threes. And as I came in this morning, I saw 2 others that I'm sure you're going to recognize. This one from Beverly Hills Cop. John Ashton, the actor from Beverly Hills Cop, died at the age of 76. He was in a lot of other movies and shows as well, but best known, I think, to a lot of you, from Beverly Hills Cop. And if you're like my mother, you've watched Days of Our Lives and you know this gentleman. This actually was a shock to me. I didn't realize that he had had a long battle with pancreatic cancer. I knew him as Roman Brady, as I used to watch Days of Our Lives with my mom, but a lot of you probably knew him best for the role of John Black, played on Days of Our Lives. Drake Hogestyn, long fight with pancreatic cancer, 40 years on Days of Our Lives. He died at the young age of 70. Let's tell you about some things that are coming up for you next weekend, one of which you'll see all over my social media pages over the next 24 hours. My stories, my reels, all talking about Vintage Market Days. Do you remember when we interviewed the woman from Vintage Market Days earlier this year? She was such a doll. We all fell in love with her personality, her hair, her glasses. You need to go see her in person. Vintage Market Days will be in Lake St. Louis at the National Equestrian Center, October 4th through the 6th. Tickets are on sale now. VIP ticket holders, by the way, getting in at 9 a.m. on Friday, and then the rest come in at 10 o'clock. We had her on as they did the Mad Rush right before the VIP holders came in back in the spring. So here it is. Again, next weekend, Vintage Market Days. That's not the only thing taking place. These are other two big events that will take place, one of which will be at the Botanical Garden, and that is for our Best of Missouri Market. Have you not ever been to that? If you haven't, you're going to want to go to this. The Best of Missouri Market, and we're talking about the best of all things that are tied to Missouri. If you haven't been, you can go this weekend, October 4th through the 6th. Check it out, mobot.org/market. 140 vendors. Again, handcrafted items, locally produced food, much more at this wonderful fall festival. We are into fall, by the way. And that is not the only thing that's taking place. Also, the historic Shaw Art Fair. So if you're into art, you'll want to go to this one. That's coming up also Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday, and you can check that out online as well, shawartfair.org. A lot of fun things that are taking place. All right, before we get into our Medical Monday with Dr. Sarah Jensen, we've got to do our Talker of the Day and quick sports news. How about this young little boy? He is a true entrepreneur. And look he wanted to adopt that kitty cat. Well, how was he going to be able to do that? He had to work for it. 6-year-old boy, his name is Luca. He's from Rhode Island, and he has a passion for helping animals. He's not only helping the animals, but he also says he loves to clean. He said he truly does, loves to do chores. Well, he's been doing that. Pooper Scooper Luca. Poopa Scoopa Luca is what it says on his card. He is the chief pooper scooper. He said $15 for one dog, $20 for multiple dogs. A lot of the funds that Luca is willing to raise, he is hoping to incorporate in helping save more animals in the future. It's so adorable. Again, he's only 6 years old, and he said he absolutely loves to clean, right? Mom has to be happy about that. Well, the Cardinal season is over, unfortunately. This is a recurring theme, and that's why there's going to be a press conference at 2 o'clock this afternoon as they talk about player development. It hasn't been the best for the Cardinals, as we have been waiting for playoffs, and it doesn't happen for us. The Cardinals did at least go out on a high note. They beat San Francisco yesterday. The final score was 6-1. Now, here's the thing. This has been talked about for the last several weeks, so if it happens, it's not like a shocker, but Paul Goldschmidt could be gone at the end of this season. You know, $130 million star to leave St. Louis, ending his 6-year stint. His contract is up, so that was what everybody's been talking about. Player development, again, is the big story at 2 o'clock this afternoon. What will happen with Paul and others? St. Louis will have to find a way to replace the superstar. It will be interesting to see what happens this afternoon. We'll, of course, recap all of that for you tomorrow morning. There you are. You're up to date in news you can use. Weather, sports, entertainment, and talker news. And it is right on schedule, 7:15, for us to talk with Dr. Sarah Jensen. She's with Regional Dermatology. We love her. She's been with us for the last few months. And as we wrapped up the summer months and officially kicked off fall here in the last week, she's talking about fall tune-ups to the skin. What have you done in damage? Can we reverse that? And we also are going to talk about a peel. We're going to talk about some procedures that she's done. She'll show us her own pictures. And a peel that I'm going to tell you right now is not for the faint of heart. You need to probably put down the breakfast when we start to show you some of these pictures. I'm just warning you in advance. So all of that coming up on our health news and our Medical Monday segment as Dr. Sarah Jensen joins us in the blue chair.
We need women to lift women up.
Let's do that.
Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with her viewers and her listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
How are you doing? See you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey! You're close!
Monica. Whoa.
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind.
Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. Again, I can't wait to see if some of the ladies that I met on the plane and their shirts said, "Girls just want to have fun." They said they were going to write in today and they had some questions for us. So I do hope that they do so. They might be sleeping though, because we didn't get in until midnight. So going on 3 hours of sleep. If they're not up, they can watch later and then they can tag us in this. So we're talking today about reversing anything that we did to our skin over the last several months, because we are now officially into fall, even though back at forecast still seems like it's summer. But let's talk about that with our wonderful friend, Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here again.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
So, all right, I did as much as I possibly could to take care of my skin. Trust me, I kept spraying, but I can feel I have bumps on my skin.
Yeah.
So we talked about that several weeks ago, and there was a woman that said she's going to come to you because she's like, I've never had this problem before. I always was able to tan, etc. And she's like, why do I have this? So what causes those little bumps?
Yeah. It's that sudden shift from like being indoors, working environment, and then you go to a sunny place closer to the equator, and you can get a reaction to the sun. I had it during my honeymoon. It's called polymorphous light eruption.
Okay.
Polymorphous because it can look like a lot of things. Bumps, red spots, so it can be very itchy too.
And that's what I was expecting, because I had that probably a few years back. This time I was like, oh no, is this going to itch? So if that starts to happen, what should we do when we're on vacation? Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, you can either just get the hydrocortisone over the counter. Some places like Mexico, you can get even higher strengths, over the counter without a prescription. So I usually send one of my patients with a prescription. Sometimes I'll give them even oral prednisone. I have another man who just gets a shot of prednisone every time he goes on a cruise just to prevent it. So it just depends.
So if it's not itchy and it's just there, we just leave it alone, no problem?
Yeah, if it's not bothering you.
How long does it usually last?
It varies. It could just be a few days. Mine lasted up to 2 weeks after I got back. Yeah.
And yours was itchy?
Itchy and uncomfortable. Yeah, itchy, burning. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm lucky. I was just like, ew. So, but we're talking about what we have done to our skin over the summer, no matter what we try to do. I mean, again, I kept spraying, but it just depends on if you're going on vacation. It's like this complete change as you are, completely different weather. Right. But for those of us here that have been out in the sun, maybe didn't take care of themselves, what are you seeing now? Because this is when you said you start to really see people come in during the fall to do tune-ups.
I think, people get their kids back to school and they realize all the damage they've done at the, playground or watching the kids in, ball games. And so, and you can see it for a variety of reasons. Just spots from the sun, which I think that really bothers people. They feel that they're liver spots or age spots. They have those negative connotations. Or you'll see women come in with melasma, like the mask of pregnancy. So hormonal shifts. So after pregnancy, or if they're on hormones, estrogen can cause that as well. So all those people tend to come in towards fall, winter, when that sort of like tan is fading and you're starting to see that pigment come through.
Yep. Yeah, those, and the quote unquote age spots that we say that it looks like, that shows up everywhere on our face. Is that what I'm starting to see. That's what that is?
Right.
You can't see it on here, but I'm just going to be real. I have a little one right here.
Yeah, from just driving. That's why I say face and forearms are the most important place to put your sunblock every day, rain or shine, even on a kind of a cloudier day, you know.
Okay, so if we have these, is this a cosmetic thing that you would do?
It is. It's not really covered by insurance, but you know we can do very low cost options in the office. So I personally, after a few courses ago, I went to a chemical peel conference, and you can just dab a little phenol peel on those spots, and it basically takes off that outer layer of skin within a week or two. I mean, they do get darker before they go away, but they can be very effective. Simple.
Interesting. And it can give us about a range. About how much would that be?
You know, it depends on how much someone's covering. You know, it could be $100 to maybe $300. Just depends on what the extent is, you know.
And so if we're putting that cream on, it gets darker, and then does it just kind of peel off?
That's something actually we do in the office, because phenol peel is something you don't want just in anybody's hands. You can't do a full face.
You need the pro.
Yeah, you can't do a full face phenol peel because you actually have to go under cardiac monitoring if you're doing a full face, because it can go very deep and it can cause arrhythmias. So we just do spot areas on the hands or on the face. I've done around my eyes, and I've had a colleague who's done perioral for those little perioral lines, and that's a little bit more for wrinkles over just the pigment, you know.
If you're just tuning in, again, Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology, and we have some of these pictures. So I mentioned here's the thing. So I was on the plane. No, this was before we got on the plane. That's right. We were sitting in the airport, and I started looking through the pictures yesterday, and I went, oh, I'm going to have to warn all of you, if you're eating breakfast, you might just want to step away if you have a weak stomach. You literally mentioned this isn't for the timid. Let's start with her pictures first, because you were just mentioning the procedure that you had done, and then we'll show you these pictures of lines, right? Laugh lines or frown lines, or
usually the little those kind of
small
smokers lines. Those even if they're not a smoker, it's just whistling, talking, you know, singing. Using a straw. I mean, we all use them.
I never drink through a straw because of that reason. Okay, let's show Dr. Jensen's pictures first. So walk us through what you had done.
Right. So I was bothered by the upper lines, like those lid lines. See, there's about 2 or 3 there. And rather than go and have a blepharoplasty where they actually cut that area out and have kind of a linear scar, I opted to go to a colleague who does a chemical peel for this. So it's called a blepharopeel, and that's the phenol peel that they put around the eyes. It turns white like that. It kind of frosts. And see how they have little snippets of skin on the upper lids?
Yes.
It's kind of like a colander, like a cheese colander. Those are going to contract back. That's what I think.
A cheese colander on your face.
Think of food and medicine. But yes, those will contract down as they heal. So instead of having a line throughout there, I'll just have tiny little spots that have to heal. And the eyelid skin does very well with healing.
Okay, walk us through as far as how long you looked like that. Here's the deal. People should do that right now, and then they could just be ready for Halloween.
Right. Well, that's true. You know, I will say, so after I left, the white goes away. It turns kind of a red color, and it feels very warm and kind of tingly, almost like a little Tabasco on the skin. So that's definitely this discomfort for a few hours. But really within 9 days, you're 99% healed with all those little wounds. The redness does persist for a while, so you do have to cover that a little bit. But all in all, it's a very easy outpatient procedure, much cheaper than a typical blepharoplasty.
So you do talk in food, Tabasco. I don't think I've paid attention to that in past weeks. So it's just a little burning sensation. You didn't have anything else?
I did actually have a little bit of an infection. I learned that even though I asked if I could get in a hot tub, I didn't think about the fumes or the humidity from the hot tub might carry a little bacteria. So I did suffer a little infection, but I got that under control with a friend, wound care doctor, but it was fine.
But otherwise, it's pretty much just like a little bit of burning, or what would you say?
Just a little? A few hours, actually. By that evening, I was fine. Definitely you look a little rough. I wore some rose-colored glasses, literally, to get back on the plane. This doctor happened to be in Chula Vista, California. So on our way home from Cabo, just this past Christmas, I stopped
that's
over.
When you did it?
Mm-hmm. I stopped
over.
I'll
just stop over and get this done.
And I thought, what the heck? I was with my daughter and my brother. And so we did fine. And they're a very popular office. They have people coming in from all over, so they're used to that.
So let's talk about these procedures for people who have never considered doing anything cosmetic. What would you what would you say to them to kind of help them? Because if they're like you or anyone else that's had anything cosmetic done, if truly you are not happy, because, and again, I say this all the time with anything in life. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want to, work out. You want to eat healthy. You want to hydrate. But if there are things that are just making you feel less than yourself, this is when you have that discussion with yourself, maybe with your partner, husband, whoever, and then you make that decision. But there's a lot of people, whether they think it's a stigma thing or whatever, oh, you had cosmetic something done. Walk them through the mental side of that.
Well, I think all in all, it's become more common for people to be open about what they do. It used to be kind of hush hush. I don't do Botox or Dysport or filler, and I think people are more open about it. But sometimes people don't know what is out there, what to offer, and so I start out by asking, well, what bothers you? Like, when you look in the mirror, when you look at a photograph, what is it your eyes go to? Because a mole on their face may not bother me, but maybe it would bother them, or some spots. So I really try to get at what they're, and I try not to imprint any of my thoughts, like, oh, would you like to get rid of those lines? And then, oh, I never noticed those before.
Thanks, Doc.
Now I do. So I try to really come to where they are. And so we give them options, because a lot of times you don't really know what's out there, what's available. There's so much on the market, and there's so much on social media. So we kind of break it down. We talk about whether they're looking at pigment, like color, and then we talk about chemical peels and different creams and topicals. If we're talking about fine lines, if they're lines of movement, we'll talk about, Botox or Dysport to relax those fine lines. And then we do talk about filler. I think about filler kind of from the cheeks down. So the volume loss that we've had, or the lips or the cheeks. But I really strive for a very natural, very I can't tell you've had work done look. We don't want really, artificial or, and I think filler has gotten a bad rap for that, right? We see so many people with just so much volume that you almost can't focus and talk to them, right? So we want just a very natural look. Age appropriate is what I look for.
I love that. And I love that, a natural part of life in general. But it really happens, Dr. Jensen, because people end up having something done and then they just don't know where to stop. What do you think that is, the psychology of that? Because all of us that are seeing it happen want to say something, but you want to leave it alone. Because I guess if they really are happy, then that's their own life. But it gets to a point where you knew them looking this way, and then it's just so far from who they were that you want to say something, but I don't even know how to broach that subject.
It's hard. And I definitely don't really broach it with patients unless it's kind of gone out of control and I can't offer them anything more. I don't want to contribute to that kind of it's like a body dysmorphia, right? So we try to, have a conversation about this is going to be a natural approach. But I do have patients who have had so much filler that they almost have to keep going because that skin loses its laxity. It almost needs to be plumped. And so it gets to be kind of a spiral.
Well, honestly, I have to put it in the lines of an addiction.
It really is. It really is. It's just the same with tanning or even working out. There's this balance that we need, right? So we definitely talk about that and try to kind of weed those patients that we don't want to contribute to that kind of a pathology.
Well, it's interesting that you call it body dysmorphia, because we can look at someone who's anorexic, someone who's bulimic. It all falls into that category.
It does.
And there's a whole nother level of maybe talking to a counselor, why do you keep doing this? Again, the natural side is the best way to go.
Yeah.
Again, whether it's cosmetic or and some people might say, well, these are things that I want to have done. Can it be done naturally? Do I have to go to the cosmetic route? Can I just do peels and facials? Is it going to be a temporary thing?
There are definitely some creams that have more, and I think more and more so, that have botanical agents that are not retin A. They're not these prescriptions that are more botanical and still can help with pigment of the skin. All
right, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to give you a little time to warn yourself and put the breakfast down, because the pictures that we're going to show you next, this is a patient of yours?
It's actually a colleague of mine at a Peel conference that I attended.
And in these pictures, what time frame?
That was about
that 2 weeks?
A week to maybe a week to 12 days, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And wait till you see what happens with this. And that's more for those lines around here, right?
Fine perioral lines. Very fine, yeah.
So if you have those, stay tuned, but it is a pretty dramatic change of what happens after the week and a half to 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more with Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology when we return.
I'm excited to announce my all-new mattress topper. In the times we're in, I wanted to bring you the best affordable mattress topper ever. So I took my two best technologies and combined them to make the ultimate mattress topper. And now you can get it for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. It all starts with my famous MyPillow foam that provides you that overall full body support. Second is the individual comfort supports that give you an amazing custom sleep experience. It's like it's made specifically for you. The queen size alone has over 14,000 comfort supports. This is the perfect mattress topper to improve any bed. New bed, old bed, your guest beds. Get them for every bedroom in your house. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the all-new My Mattress Topper for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. Don't delay, order today.
And welcome back again. As I mentioned, Beckett's forecast really truly does feel like you could still jump in that, right? It's still pool season probably for some of you. And this will be the time where we've been able to keep it open into October. Some of you late October and November even without a heater. So there are so many things Just Pools can do for you, whether it's an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool. If you've always been thinking about having one in your backyard, maybe sit down and start doing a consultation with them of what you can do with your yard. But I also want to stress that they do really cool things with people who already have pools but want to add to it. Maybe you don't have steps like you want, or you want to have these different features. They can do that for you. And then it's also the time in the next week or so when this weather really starts to change to close the pools. Maybe you have them do it, or you buy your own winterizing kits. Either way, please give them a call at Just Pools, the pool and spa specialist. And maybe you transition to getting your own spa as well, because it is definitely starting to turn into that. 3987 West Outer Road South in Arnold. They've got 10% off of the winterizing kits and still 50% off while they last, all those fun pool toys. 636-464-7110. And again, thank you so much, Madonna and the team with Just Pools. They've been a long sponsor of ours. Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. We're talking about our skin with Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology. Let me give her locations. I just saw somebody say that they scheduled an appointment with her. That's wonderful. A lot of you have, and thank you, by the way. Whether it's the one west or the one south, Regional Dermatology West is in Chesterfield, and the one south is in Festus. There are the hours and the phone numbers where you can give them a call. You can also check them out online to find out more about the wonderful services that Dr. Jensen and her staff can do for you. So Rose wrote in and said, I was always out in the sun, Doc, all summer. I have pockets of fatty lumps on top of my cheeks. Can you help me get rid of them? I'm very self-conscious about it.
That's interesting. I mean, that may be more of like an oculoplastic, depending on where they're located. That might be something like oculoplastics would take care of, which we have a great referral for that. I actually had that same procedure done under my eyes before what you saw on the screen earlier, where they actually go in through the mucosal part of the eye. There's little fat pockets that get a little bulge as we age. And so they actually dissolve that fat and kind of reposition it so we don't have that kind of tear trough. That was something I did years ago just because I started noticing I had my father's eyes. He had the same procedure done about my age, under insurance at that time.
Oh.
So I opted to have it at the same time because I started noticing in family photos. And like I said, that's all I saw. So that's,
Right. And that's the thing. If you just tuned in, if that is the case and you're looking in the mirror and you see all these things that others don't, right? But you're your own worst critic sometimes. And if it's just every day not making you happy, that's what we're talking about today. A lot of these different things that you can do to put yourself in that better state of mind. So Rose, why don't you go into whether it's the Chesterfield or the Festus office that's better for you, give them a call because you can do a consultation and then take it from there,
and
right?
better see it. See what we're looking at.
And Rose, the other part of your comment I did not see, there was an officer, she said, that pulled over when he saw a kitten in distress in the middle of the road, stopped traffic to get it, fell in love, took it to the vet, and kept it and asked people to give ideas of names. She said, why don't we see more stuff like this on the news? I know. That's why I do news you can use. You want happy stuff. There you go, regionaldermatology.com. So Rose and everybody else, go ahead and give them a call to set up your own consultation so that you can find out what she can do for you. Okay, so we mentioned, Julie says I'm getting a peel Saturday morning. Very good. Good. Get these peels done. Get your skin ready as you transition out of summer, because we talked a little bit about that. So we wanted to talk about this procedure that was done, and this is from a colleague of yours, right?
Right. I attended a peel conference, is where I met the same doctor that did my peel. I saw these results, and they have a great reputation. And I wanted to kind of dab in it myself.
Yeah.
So what better way than to be the patient, right? Because I'll know exactly what my patients are experiencing.
Sure.
So this was a chemical peel, again, a phenol peel, which is a deeper peel, which again, you can't do over the entire face without monitoring. So we just do small areas like around the eyes or around the perioral area for those fine little lines that filler really doesn't get to. So this is pretty rough. It looks a little Shrek. Okay?
We can't. Shrek is right. Now we're not talking food.
No.
We're telling you to put your food down. I'm serious when I say
Yes.
this, because it's just going to progressively get worse
Yeah,
here.
and so that's the lifting of the skin. That skin is going to slough off, and it gets very edematous. It gets very swollen. It only really hurts for the first few hours. You can ice it, so it looks a lot worse than it feels. And I can tell because I've had that. So this is just, after day 2, she starts to really slough that skin. Some of the greenish hue you're seeing is actually bismuth. It's actually a product to keep it from getting infected. So not all of it is necessarily the skin. And again, this just starts to slough off. The redness does persist beyond, all of the peeling. And this is just getting rid of those. You don't really want to tear at the skin, so she's snipping just little areas. I have not yet convinced a patient yet. So far, we've done mostly filler around the lips, but I really think that this is going to take off. It really takes care of those fine lines around the mouth. And this is already, see, day 5, she's starting to really denude the skin, and that's all fresh skin underneath.
Oh, but gosh, it just looks. But you said it's not overly painful?
No, actually, after the first few hours, really, there's very little to no pain. Yeah, it's remarkably, comfortable. It looks rough, but
it does.
The beauty of masking these days is that you can go out to work and wear a mask and just say, I've got a little sore throat. So there is some benefit post-pandemic to having
There's nothing going on underneath this mask, trust me. And when I take the mask off, look how good I look.
Right.
So you mentioned, okay, so here it is. This is day 13.
Yeah.
You saw everything that she had gone through up to this point, but she just wasn't happy with the way she was looking, right?
Right. Those little tiny fine lines just get in those, crevices, and you can't really put a lot of filler in there. You can try, but it never quite is as smooth as you'd like it. So this really can get down to those. It's kind of like taking away those valleys. You're evening out the skin tone or the skin surface.
Just have a nice, relaxing time at home. I don't leave the house because everyone's going to be like, what the heck's happening to you?
Right.
I'm just taking care of this. So besides those first few hours, nothing else, really?
Nothing else, yeah. I mean, I did go back to work. I wore my glasses when I had the procedure done. So, because I had a little swelling and a little redness, but it really fades over time. The redness does persist, so you have to cover that a bit.
And you said the redness, she mentioned this earlier, if you missed our first part of the show, that redness persists for how long?
That redness actually can persist for a couple months, 2 to 3 months. But
Okay.
I can cover it readily, and it really didn't bother me after the fact.
And so this woman that we just showed over that 13-day period, that redness would be staying right. So would she be able to cover that with makeup?
Yeah, you can cover that. Once that day 13, so that skin's all healed over, that could be easily, covered with a little makeup.
So she would just maybe look like she had a sunburn.
Right.
A bad sunburn.
Right.
But so now that she has this, okay, a lot of people would ask, how long is that going to last?
You mean the effects of that?
Yes.
Oh, the effects. Well, the redness will fade after 2 or 3 months, but the effects of that can last years. Yeah.
Because anybody who's never had anything cosmetic done, I think they're always wondering, is this something that once, you mentioned earlier that some people will do, Botox, is it Dysport,
all in the same family. Neurotoxins. They're just relaxing muscles wherever you're injecting them.
But those things are short-lived.
Those are temporary. Yeah, maybe 3 months. depending on where you're injecting.
Oh, so Botox lasts 3 months?
Mm-hmm, should. Yeah.
See, I've never had these things done.
It's kind of a plateau. It's not like it works and then it's gone. It kind of is like a rainbow. It sort of gradually loses its effect.
But this particular peel is called what again?
This is a phenol peel.
Phenol peel.
Not done in like a medical spa typically. These is under a physician's hands typically in just small areas. And it had its day before I was even in training. And now I think chemical peels are really making a surge. These deeper, more medical grade chemical peels.
But that's something like that would have effects lasting for years.
Right.
I was going to say, you wouldn't, I don't think you'd want to keep going through something like that.
Right.
But when something like that is done, here's the question I have. So now she smooths all that out. Now it looks great. Do you then start to see other things? This is where I was mentioning earlier that suddenly when something's done, then people start to really see other aspects of their face or whatever.
I think you do. I think it's just like when you remodel a home, right? You do the walls, and all of a sudden you realize the floors don't really match, right? So it's a matter of just keeping up. I mean, patients always ask me things like, if I tell them, oh, they've got to use Rogaine for their scalp, or maybe Latisse for their eyelashes. Well, do I have to keep doing this? And I'm like, well, it's just like brushing your teeth or taking your, high blood pressure medicine. Yes, you keep doing it, but it's really maintenance, and it's just got to be something you want to do, and not go too far forward. Just continue there's aging gracefully. We want to encourage that as well.
Encouraging that, encouraging natural, again, as we mentioned before. And you brought up something earlier which I think is really important. Why we mentioned going into Dr. Jensen, not trying to do things on, I'm going to buy this online, or I'm going to go on vacation. Do you know how many pharmacies are at every block when we're in Cabo? And I'm looking at all this, and I actually was hearing people around me say, oh yeah, I always stock up on this or that when I'm here. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Well, I would not. I mean, this is me, but I would not try to do these things on my own, right? I don't have a medical background,
right?
And that's where I think people go wrong. They're like, oh, I'm going to try and save money. I'm in another country, and then they're trying to do it by themselves, and then they're running into all these problems.
Right.
Do you see people saying that a lot? Do you have to reverse what they've done?
I see a lot of people going to Mexico and other countries, and I understand our prices for medicines are so high, so I get the drive. I also hear about people going down for dental work or for lipo or for other cosmetic procedures. I guess as a physician, I'm always thinking, what's the worst thing that could happen, and acting off of those thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to be too pessimistic, but if I get myself into a situation, I want to know I've got good hospitalization, I've got my insurance, I'm not going to have to be flown in, so I understand the drive to get things done, but I kind of rather either not do it and, stay in the U.S. or just,
No, absolutely.
keep it simple, right?
But you're right. There was a guy that we met on the marina, and somebody said, oh yeah, he always schedules all of his appointments every year when he's coming to Mexico to have dental work done, to go to a chiropractor, all this. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, again, like you said, the cost of here, medicine-wise.
Right.
But my thought absolutely went to, if something goes wrong, you're going to want to be here and sent to the hospital? No.
I was surprised when patients came in and they had filler done on their cruise. And I thought, boy, I always tell patients, don't do anything around vacations or social events. Like, what if you get a bruise? What if you get, any complication? If you get a filler in particular, it's just like plumbing. If you clog a vessel, you lose blood supply and oxygen to that skin. So it's not just something to do kind of on a whim. I want to be able to see the patient. I want to see them in follow-up if they need. I want to be on call for them. But what happens when that cruise is gone, right? And so I see it and even sometimes in different spas. I know a lot of them are headed by physicians, but you have to be able to obtain that physician, be able to contact them. And sometimes I have a patient come in with a complication. I'm reaching out to find what did they use, what did they do, and you don't always get that communication with the oversight.
Has it become a little easier with these, that people are able to get to their doctors, their nurses, nurse practitioners, which we didn't have this before, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I need to check in. What do they call it? Telehealth?
Yeah, telehealth, or
what do you think
the
of
message
that?
through we love telehealth. I love it. It's great for acute things you need, like a refill that you didn't get or something simple. I mean, definitely it's very hard for a spot check. You really need to see that in person. But if someone's just got an acne refill or they're having a little flare, we can get online with them and talk to them. It's much easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, if it's for that, but trying to diagnose something over a video chat.
It can be a little challenging. I mean, especially with rashes, and sometimes the quality, depending on where they are, if they're more rural, maybe you're not getting the quality. But overall, we do pretty well with it.
How long has telehealth been out?
Gosh, that's a good question. I know it was before the pandemic. It just got a surge.
Well, within the last decade, right?
Yes, for certain.
Or last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't used it, but I know a lot of you probably have, and I think it's been very, very helpful for you. If you're just tuning in, if you have any questions, by the way, for Dr. Jensen, you can write them in. We are, my moderators right now are hard at work. Hannah Ledford, when you see comments from Hannah, as well, Ashlyn's behind the scene, Tia's behind the scene. You're going to see a lot turned from our interview today of things that you may have missed if you've just tuned in right now. We're going to take a quick break. If you have questions, let us know. The women that were on the plane yesterday, they said, we want to know if there's anything she can inject to make us not have hot flashes. I was like, ladies, they were hilarious. There was about 15 or 20 of them from our area. And again, they had T-shirts on that was girls just want to have fun. These were older ladies. Now, so you think I'm talking about 20-year-olds.
They maybe need to get on the episode with Becky Lynn, right?
Yes.
Dr. Lynn.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
there really are options.
There are, ladies, and I don't want you, again, we don't want you to suffer in silence.
Right.
So yes, if you haven't seen that show, and Hannah could probably go back and drop it for you, that was a wonderful show that I'm still getting stopped on the streets. People said, that one and the one that we did about men's health, right? We talked about prostate health and all these other sexual health aspects for men. We need to do more men health and women health together. All right, we'll have more with Dr. Jensen when we return.
Come on, Monica. Let's go, St. Louis. Turn and burn.
Hello, Miss Monica.
Monica. Hi, guys. This is a good one. Sometimes you spend like 10 years and you don't got one like this.
Hi, Monica.
It's a feast. It's like a 17-course meal. You're just like, you need a minute. With wine. With a wine pairing. And a whiskey pairing.
That is what. Here it is.
I think I just had the most beautiful experience. I saw fireworks.
Thank you, Monica, for making our day.
And if you are looking for kind of a combination of what we're talking about today, taking care of your skin as well as facials, Elemental Aesthetics just came on with us about a month ago. Jennifer Warman-Bloss will be back, and we'll be talking about all the services that she can offer to you. I went and had a facial done. It was amazing. She's actually been an esthetician for the last 20 plus years. She said she prides herself on having the best of the best with regards to what she can do for your skin with those facials. There's other particular treatments, maybe laser treatments that you want to have done. We talked about IPL just a couple of weeks ago, as well, though, as weight loss consultations, whether it is surgical or non-surgical, if it is medicine or just consultation of maybe the nutrition side. And then this has always been very big over the last couple of years with people, hydration, IV hydration therapy. She also does red light therapy, which we talked about with Dr. Jensen, actually, and her colleague just a couple of weeks ago. A lot of things that Jennifer can do for you. Elemental Aesthetics, Suite 206, 425 North New Ballas Road in Creve Coeur, 314-279-6069. And one of the things that she got people talking about was insulin resistance, as she shared her own story of not just her, but she and her daughter. So a lot of great things. Jennifer, thank you so much for just joining us here in the last month. All right, 747, welcome back. And somebody just commented and said, my uncle lived in Texas. He used to go to the dentist in Mexico. He died at the dentist office.
Oh, no.
See? So this is what we're talking about. Thank you, by the way, Stephanie. I'm so sorry for what you went through with your uncle. Thank you for sharing that, though, because you truly don't know what's happening in other countries.
Right.
So, was it worth saving money to go to another country? Again, you need someone to take care of you that knows what they're doing. Michelle, I got a peel from Elemental last week. Oh, was molting all weekend. Fantastic. I'm glad. All right, we're talking about taking care of the skin. What other things do you see people coming in for right now, or will be coming in over the next couple of months? Because again, it's such a huge transition from the sun to all of a sudden the wind and the cold and everything that we see when we're getting into fall and winter months.
That brings up a good point. You just made me think about it. When I often see when the seasons are changing, when the temperature's changing outside, that flares of rosacea I will often see, the redness, the acne, adult, females in particular, but males as well. So we try to get those under control. So I often see those during the seasonal change. And we can do that with medications, topicals, pills. And we do have a vascular laser to try to help with the redness that occurs. And that's something I personally experienced when I hit menopause. I never had problems with acne or rosacea, redness. And suddenly I was having red burning cheeks. And so I sought a colleague who helped me with a vascular laser, and it addresses the redness under the skin. Again, that's not covered by insurance, but a lot of the creams and pills we have are, so that can be helpful.
So if someone hasn't experienced this, and this is the whole thing about how life changes, every year it's like, oh, well, this wasn't there last year, but from a hormonal standpoint. And that's why you brought Dr. Lynn in. So that's the combination of the two of you together is
Right.
just award winning, really, because she can do so many things for you. And then if she feels like, hey, I want to introduce you to this person because we can work in combination with each other.
Right. And I'm a huge advocate for people like Dr. Lynn who've gotten the extra training, because in residency they didn't get a lot of training in menopause, which is, I mean, kind of absurd when you think about it. That's the main focus. Like I learned about male menopause when I was in medical school, but we never talked about female menopause, and it just didn't make sense to me. So I see a lot of patients, a lot of young to middle-aged men coming in on testosterone, but I don't see women coming in with hormone replacement. So I can do topical remedies, you're like vulvar, vaginal estrogen as a dermatologist, but beyond that, it's kind of out of my lane. I kind of get them on the right road, and then I get them to who they really need to be taken care of.
Absolutely. Again, we're talking about you being the best version of yourself, and also the role that you play, though. We mention all the time the importance of sunscreen. As we transition, this is when, I've interviewed doctors for 30 years, and this is what I always want to make sure that you hear this message, because I think people get out of the summer months, and then they start becoming lax, don't you think,
Right.
on putting their sunscreen on?
Right.
Because they're like, oh, the weather's colder, I'm layered up.
Right.
We should always have sunscreen on our
Oh,
face.
for sure, because we still get the rays through the clouds. So I just tell them, make it easy. Get a pump. Don't even have to open a cap. Make it the simple thing you can do. A little lightweight coating. It doesn't have to be heavy, thick. It can be colored. You can get a tinted one so it doesn't look so white, sort of Casper-like. But there's a face, forearms, back of the neck, maybe back of the ears if you've got short hair. Because we do see sun year round,
Yes.
and we do get sort of lax about it. That's why we tend to see these little sunburns on the shoulders and backs right at the beginning of spring, because it feels so good, and people don't, aren't aware that they're still getting the sun exposure.
Well, and again, besides the sunscreen, and I know Zach had a slide up there with hats. I had this huge hat. They were teasing me, and I'm like, whatever. I'm taking care of myself. And I kept mentioning that they were getting burnt on their head. And they're like, no, we're not. And I said, yes, you are. All these things that you can't see that she sees, right? I mean, we also can't see behind us. That's where you hope that somebody from your family will say, hey,
Right.
did you have this here before?
Right.
But I think, I would say, don't you think the most that people would say, okay, I'm going to put sunscreen on my face and my ears.
Yeah.
But the rest of the body that's exposed. Well, you even mentioned while we're driving.
Right, because your arms see plenty, right? You talked about the spots on the backs of the hands. I've just treated mine last year because I was seeing so many. We definitely get all that sun exposure. That going to the grocery store, just getting the mail. Those little intermittent exposures can add up to a lot.
And somebody had mentioned that they were putting on SPF 100. What is the highest the SPF goes to?
Gosh,
Does it go beyond that?
100 is the most maybe I've seen, but I really tell them anything 15 to 30 and above is fine. It doesn't have to go that high. I think it gives people a little bit of like
security.
A false sense of security. So 15 to 30 is fine. After that, it kind of plateaus as far as how much coverage you're actually getting. I like to see zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. Those are physical blockers. That one we just showed you has a little tint to it. That has iron oxide in it. That goes even deeper penetration. I mean, that actually protects you at a deeper level, the iron oxide. So it has that kind of a rust color. But if you see these are physical blockers. They tend not to cause people irritation. Sometimes when the sunblock gets in your eyes, it can really burn. I don't have that problem with this. I can run with this. I can sweat in this. And they really stay on very well. The physical in particular is very good for sensitive skin.
Is this something that you have at your office?
We do. I carry Elta because it's one of my favorite products. I've had it since residency at the university, and it's always stayed with me. There's so many different varieties. There's thicker, thinner, everyday use. So we can get men using it too. They're usually the sticklers that don't really want to put things on the face. So these products, we have solutions for them.
Okay. Stephanie just asked, when I go to Minnesota for Christmas from the cold weather, my legs and feet get dry and my legs get chapped. Is there anything I can do for this?
Yeah. So what I love for this is I love a product called CeraVe SA. It's got salicylic acid. You can get it in other products too, amlactin, lactic acid. There's others with uric acid, anything that's got that acid, alpha hydroxy acid. They slough the skin as well as moisturize, so they're kind of getting rid of that outer dead layer of skin and moisturizing. But CeraVe SA is a staple. You'll also see like rough and bumpy skin. They'll have go by different names. But if you look for the salicylic acid, that's my key. I also do like, though, to maybe at nighttime to use something with more moisture, more oil base, like a coconut oil. Abbey Rose has a good coconut oil base that we have at the office. I love their products. It's just very small, organic company. But you could do anything even as simple as like a cold press coconut oil, cold press olive oil, Vaseline, Aquaphor. That greasy layer is going to penetrate that skin because the skin loves oil. It's lipophilic.
And we've mentioned this in the past, but I know a lot of you might be just tuning in for the first time today, or you haven't tuned in a little bit, and you're in your first time seeing Dr. Jensen, by the way. We've talked about when you put lotion on, right as you're getting out of the shower. Did you say it's like a 2-minute time frame?
Within 2 minutes out of the shower.
And why is that?
You're just still a little damp. You're going to kind of trap some of that moisture in. I also think for people who don't like the feel of something on their skin, it seems to absorb better and they don't tend to feel it as much. If I put moisturizer right now, my dry skin, I can really feel the quality, but I feel like it seeps in a little bit better after you get out of the shower.
But if it's 3 minutes,
3 minutes is
time
fine.
is ticking.
I mean, as we get older, you would give us some grace.
All right, we don't have time today, but there's something that I really am fascinated by that Dr. Jensen had sent to us. So can we carry this over into next week?
Oh, sure.
The role of glycation in the pathogenesis of aging and its prevention through herbal products and physical exercise.
Yeah.
Touch on that just a little bit. So we'll tease you as we get ready to do that next week.
It's very interesting. It's come up in my last 2 meetings of integrative dermatology about we create these proteins in our body that get sort of glycolated. So this like glucose gets kind of linked to them. And that it's a natural process in our body. But the thought is that might be linking to our aging process, like the decreased collagen, decreased elasticity of our skin. And sadly, it can be linked to our diet. So those things that's called the Maillard reaction, where you sear a steak or you sear a piece of fish, or that actually increases the glycolation of these proteins. So when you're eating a steak that's nice and seared, you're actually getting more of those products built up in the system. So you can try to reduce that by going more plant-based, by doing exercise. And that article I showed you had some interesting information about like also just how your diet can really affect that.
Ages.
Yeah.
Aging us.
Right.
Yes. Oh, so we're going to hang on to that because I want to go a little bit more in depth, or a lot more in depth into that. And we'll do that for you coming up next week. By the way, if you ever have specific topics that you would like Dr. Jensen to cover, let us know. Write into me early. I know a lot of you, I was just on vacation with our former title sponsor, and she said the two of you are phenomenal together. And I was like, thank you. So, and I know a lot of you have been saying the same thing. She is a wealth of knowledge. If you have not been into her yet, please do so. I know a lot of you have said, oh my gosh, I have to go in. Or a lot of you have already been and said how great that she is. You just saw my mom and my aunt, by the way, a week or so ago.
Right.
Did you have fun with Mom?
I had a lot of fun.
You two kept getting chills, I hear.
We did. I just said, we were talking about you. So
well, I operate on chills, and whenever I get them, I always feel like it's my dad and God talking. But yes, you said you definitely could feel the faith in her.
Yeah.
So regional dermatology, we just had on the screen, West and South. She's had the one in Festus for over 14 years, right?
Yeah.
So that one might be a little bit harder to get into. Not too bad,
Not
though.
terrible.
Not the 6 to 9 months that a lot of you have talked about. That's the beautiful thing about Dr. Jensen. Many things, but that's the people that have gone in said that they really loved that she was able to get them in. Again, that whole calmness and the peace of mind for what you feel is going on. Beautiful facilities. If you have not been, by the way, regional dermatology. You can go online or you can give them a call. There are the phone numbers for you to make your appointment for anything. Again, if you have something that you want that peace of mind, don't sit on it. That way she can tell you, okay, this is what's going on. I do want to say that there's a woman, Sindra, by the way, thank you so much she said that you are definitely going to become her doctor. She saw a show that we did just a few weeks ago, and we were talking about sunscreen, and she's like, I almost didn't watch because I thought, yeah, I know, I'm supposed to put sunscreen on. She kept watching all the way to the end and saw the pictures that we showed. She always provides us with incredible slides. She saw the pictures and said, that's exactly what is on me, and went and had it done. And, she was a little worried. She is having to have something done with it. She went into a concierge doctor that she had right away. She's like, but she's definitely going to get my business. And I said, thank you. So, yes, we just want you to be taken care of, and we don't want things to escalate and progress and there be an issue with something. So I know a lot of you sometimes get scared to see what the outcome is, but you don't want to wait on that. So again, give them a call or check them out, regionaldermatology.com. Thank you so much. There's the phone numbers, by the way, for you on the screen. Great to see you again.
You too.
Looking forward to discussing this and anything else that you would like. We're going to take a quick break. We'll do 100 Days to Freedom. How about pick a color for me?
How about purple?
Purple is fear and anxiety, see, because you could be fearful. Fear and anxiety. We'll also talk about our big 400th show, which, by the way, I think is today. I think officially 400 shows, so congratulations on my 400. Today is, I believe, the 400th, but the celebration will be coming up on Friday, and we'll be doing that at Circle 6 Watering Hole. We'll talk a little bit more about that and other great things that are coming up when we return.
Discover your full potential with a personalized styling experience. Designing, customizing, and transforming the looks of men and women. Revamp your individual style and embrace what makes you, you. That's real confidence.
And welcome back. Before we do our 100 Days to Freedom, let's talk about this. On Friday, have you purchased your tickets yet? If not, a lot of people have a tendency to wait to the last minute, and that's okay. I would love to be able to give the final count to Tiffany, though, before we get closer to Friday. There are about 50 tickets I know that have been sold so far. The 400th celebration will be at Circle 6, their watering hole, which is right there on Highway 94, right as you go near that turn. A lot of you know it where the biker bars used to be. It's also the old kickstand bike shop, 2998 South Highway 94 in Defiance. It's $40 per ticket, and the reason for the cost of a ticket is not for our team. It's for us to donate to our police and our firefighters, our paramedics. It's going to Responder Rescue, which is an incredible organization that helps those officers and firefighters and paramedics when they are not only killed in the line of duty, but this is the thing I really loved about Responder Rescue. It is when they are injured and they're not able to return to work, which we see a lot. So Pat Byrne and Lisa Byrne will be there from Responder Rescue. We're going to have all of you great food. You get a steak dinner, potatoes, salad, a couple of drink tickets. There's going to be a band there. There might even be a surprise by a guest that's very popular. She's working to try to shift some things around, so I'm not going to mention the name yet, just in case she can't join us. But I'd love to see all of you. That's Tiffany, by the way, the owner, right there in the middle. Not only will you enjoy the left side of the building, which is the watering hole, but the market to the right, Dr. Jensen, by the way, would love. You've got to be introduced to these. There's shoots. There's like sunflower shoots, all these different things to make this incredible salad. I have fallen in love with those, and every time I'm at the market, that's what I pick up for myself. You can also get things for the dogs. I've been getting treats that they love. They're lamb, I think, or liver. They also have beef, all these different treats, and you can see hats and T-shirts, olive oils that are really, really incredible, balsamic vinegars, just so much more. So be sure to spend some time on the market side, and then just enjoy the music outside. The weather's supposed to be gorgeous on Friday. Maybe you want to take the bike out on the Katy Trail that day. That's right where they are. They're adjacent to the Katy Trail. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see you. You can purchase your tickets at TheRealMonicaAdams.com. We would love to see you. All right, we're going to wrap up the show. Seek and find. It's day 43 of 100 Days to Freedom from Fear and Anxiety. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. That is Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6. So are you struggling with fear and anxiety? Well, if you are, it's very closely related to not knowing what is happening, right? If we knew more, we could relax, right? Maybe not. Think about some of the challenges you face. Would you have felt better if you had known ahead of time what would happen? I've actually asked the question before, would you want to know when you're going to die? That's a really interesting question for people to think about. What would you do with your life if you knew that the next calendar day you wouldn't be here? It really is hard to discern which things you need to know and which ones are better left unknown until they happen. Building our trust in God's ability to care, guide, and provide for us, it's a daily process. God is trustworthy and faithful, and he loves us completely. We learn to trust him through learning about who God is, what he thinks of us, and how he has worked in our lives. And then in times of trial, we will seek him and we will find him. God created you with a purpose. He knows you completely. When you're anxious and you're fearful about something, the best path forward is to trust God's wisdom and providence. Life will always have uncertainties, but we serve a God who is sovereign and faithful. Chuck Swindoll says we must cease striving and trust God to provide what he thinks is best, and in whatever time he chooses to make it available. But this kind of trusting doesn't come naturally, does it? It's a spiritual crisis of the will in which we must choose to exercise faith. We live in a world of instantaneous. I want it right now. Do you have the patience to wait and allow the path to be laid before you? That's really what I've been doing. That's been my own spiritual journey over the last several years. And I was just in Cabo. I was seeking something out again, but sometimes I'm trying so hard to say, give me the next path, give me the next path. And I was like, never mind. My word of the day was patience, calmness. Let it all play out. Have a vision. But if you can, if you're faith-based, if you're spiritual-based, whatever it is for you, do you have the will and the power and the patience within you to follow the path? That's where I am in my life right now. So today's prayer, Lord, help me trust you each day with every part of my life. I know you will lead me on the best path for my life. Thank you for your ever-present help and guidance. I hope that helps each and every one of you today. If you were on with us live, thank you so much for your comments and your questions. If you watch this later, be sure to tag myself and Dr. Jensen. And if not, I'll make sure that she sees your questions. Stephanie, thank you. She said, thank you for the information. Congratulations on 400 shows. Yeah, I have to thank every one of the people behind the scenes that have made this a reality, from George and myself when we came up with the idea for me to walk away from television, to Zach coming on as our director, as well as Michelle, who's my executive assistant, who's done incredible things, not only as my best friend, but everything she's done for this show, and to every one of our interns that have become part of the show, all the way back to Caroline, to Hannah, and new Hannah that we have, to Tia, to Ashlyn, to Kelsey, as I mentioned, to Zach, and who knows who is still to come. If you're, by the way, you have a child that is in school and is in journalism or mass communications or broadcasting, and they would like to be a part of really where journalism is going, have them reach out to me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. I'd love for them to possibly be a part of our team. Well, tomorrow we're going to have two guests on. One is an author of Missouri Comfort, Mo Comfort. We're going to talk about some really cool places to go throughout Missouri that they have compiled into this book. And then I'm going to introduce you to another Sarah Glasser, the owner of Yenology, which is a mobile Monica we have coming up on October 10th. I can't wait to introduce you to this woman. Her background that led to this new journey is mind-blowing, what this woman has done. Trust me when you hear her story. Tomorrow we'll be talking with her, and then October 10th we'll be with her. She is in Frontenac on Lindbergh. Can't wait for that show. It'll be a noontime show. I'd love for you to come out with us. If not, watch it on that day live. Again, at Yenology, an entire place to bring you calmness and peace. And if you want some cool candles, by the way, that's where we got this candle. She's got Feel the Wave. That's her signature. Feel the Myrrh is another one that we're going to be doing. But yeah, candles. You want a sage to get rid of negativity and toxicity. You want essential oils. Really anything that has to do with bringing more calmness to your life. It's a really cool place, and I can't wait to introduce you to her. That is coming up tomorrow. Thank you all so very much for tuning in today. Be sure to share, like, follow our social media pages, and look for our next 24-hour stories and reels all about the vintage market days. I want you to mark it on the calendar and start grabbing your friends and family. If you've never been to it, it is so cool at the Equestrian Center out in Lake St. Louis. Again, October 4th through the 6th, opening up at 10 a.m. on Friday or 9 a.m. if you get those VIP tickets. Thank you all so very much. And again, remember what I always tell you, go out and be anything you want to be. Dream big, folks. Allow the path to form itself. Start walking it. And as you walk that path, greet people that you normally wouldn't, look them in the eye, and show them kindness. God bless you all.